Hey, what's up, YouTube, and welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I'm extremely excited to be bringing on a friend of mine named Kyle Curtis to talk about prep centers and specifically what new sellers and experienced sellers should be looking for in a prep center, as well as talking about his prep center called provenprepcenter.com. I know I've said prep center a lot in this video, but get ready for more of it as you continue to watch the interview. There's a ton of different insights that Kyle gives during this, and so I'm really excited to be bringing this to you because I get questions all the time on how to look into a prep center, what the pricing should look like, what their systems are like, etc. And Kyle sheds a lot of insight onto all of those questions. If you are interested in checking out his prep center, go to provenprepcenter.com. There's a ton of information there, free checklists, etc., that you can look into from his business. Now, as I mentioned in this video, this is not an affiliate or a promotion in any way. I just like Kyle, I trust him, and I see a lot of success stories from people using his prep center, which is in Oregon and is in a tax-free state, which if you do online arbitrage or wholesale of any sort, you know that it's very good to have that kind of a discount using a tax-free state. So, or sales tax-free state anyway. Now, before we get into the interview, I just want to remind you all that I am doing a contest on this video like I do in all my other YouTube videos, at least for the last few months, which is if you'd like to be entered into a free copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, you can be entered by leaving a comment below and make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, since I put all the winners in the middle of each video and typically the next video that comes out after the current contest. So if you leave a comment below, hit that notification bell, tune into the next video to see if you've won, then you can let me know by sending me an email at jimmy@askjimmysmith.com if you were the lucky winner. You will see somebody pop up in the middle of this one, and so I'm excited to be sending out these books to people that are winning from the video. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope that this video helps you, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the interview with Kyle. Hey, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me on my Ask Jimmy Smith YouTube channel today. Really excited to get to talk to you and really talk more about prep centers and the things that you're doing at yours. We've known each other for a few years now, but would love to have a little bit of a background on you for everyone out there that may not know some of the things that you do.
Yeah, so me and my partner. So for me, for example, I started in OA probably right before the pandemic.
Okay.
I actually took your course, your coaching that you did. So you helped me start from the ground level up, walk me through every single portion into Amazon, and help fast track me to get to be able to do it and hit the ground running. So I appreciate that, and I started there and just scaled our business. We started heavy into RA, going to the grocery stores, taking pictures, what everyone's does. We hit the clearance aisles, all that. And then me working a full-time job, I couldn't take it. Like I couldn't stay up late at night anymore. I couldn't, do all the sourcing. I couldn't do everything. I was working like 16 hours a day. And I ended up eventually moving to a prep center. And it completely changed my life, because prepping probably takes up the most of what you do. Like sourcing can take hours, prepping can take hours, and usually prepping is the least fun thing, in my opinion. So I ended up outsourcing in that, and I grew our business almost to the 6-figure mark a year, to where it was almost all away. And lo and behold, where I'm at now is I ended up moving to Oregon to be with family. So this all was in Florida, and we ended up moving to Oregon to be with family. And I ran the VA program for the My Silent team, and I had so many people come through, and they kept asking me. They're like, "Hey, do you know any tax-free prep centers? Because there's always a waiting list. Do you know any tax-free prep centers?" Well, lo and behold, I actually moved to a tax-free area, and I met some awesome people. They're actually in our community, Jared and Tracy, who do branded bundles. They actually started the branded bundling idea, and it's awesome. They take off. They're going to be doing about $8 million this year in sales. And it's just awesome to watch them grow. And they help me build this infrastructure and help us put together this prep center. That's awesome. So right now, my focus, I actually quit Amazon and have been focusing, except for my private label that I'm doing with my bundling, and focused specifically on doing a prep center. And we've been doing that for last 4 or 5 months and just have been doing, I don't know, it's just been growing exponentially every month, which
That's
is
awesome.
great.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love seeing the different tracks that sellers take. It's funny too that you mentioned that you went through a program that I used to do, which was one-on-one. It was proven replan mentoring, and there's still some opportunities for that, but I don't really do that too often anymore, just because I don't have as much time. But also Tracy went through the Advanced Replans Mastermind stuff, which is currently exclusively in the Business Building Legends group, but still pretty cool to see people come through different programs and then branch out into different things. I didn't train branded bundles. Tracy was already doing those things. And I don't train on prep centers, but you decided to branch out into that after moving to Oregon. So it's really cool. And one of the things that I want to make sure to cover on this, first, this isn't like an affiliate type thing. You know, I'm not getting paid to have you on here. So everybody knows this is legitimately, I know Kyle, I trust Kyle. I've seen him succeed with helping sellers in multiple programs. I believe I already had you on my YouTube channel to discuss that VA program, Kyle, a year or two ago, maybe.
It was a little bit ago, but yeah,
So if
definitely.
anybody wants to check that out, I think it's on my channel somewhere. If not, I can always find the recording and post it into here. But I want to make sure that we cover things for newer sellers that are trying to decide if they want to do a prep center, if they want to prep products themselves, etc. So what are some pieces of advice that you have for newer sellers trying to make that decision and really take a leap of faith and trusting another company with their products?
So I think it kind of goes back to my key decision, because most people who start Amazon started as a side income. In my opinion, they
Yep.
started to try to get away either from what they're doing now or to supplement their income. And it can be very daunting with the amount of work. A lot of people join, and like myself, didn't realize, oh my gosh. I remember the first time you and I did it together, and I was like I got like 100 items. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm sending it in there. Took us hours, and I hit Inventory Lab and I look at the profit and it's like $600. And I'm like, oh, that's going to take a long time for us. We have to really scale this.
Yeah, exactly.
To be able to make this a full-time income. And there's no way I could have done it unless I outsourced, with whether it be VAs or whether it be with a prep center.
Yeah.
So my advice to anyone is, at some point, if you don't plan on, or even if you can't for a while, if you don't plan on being able to put forth all the time into doing it, take advantage of a prep center, because most of the time, especially if you're tax-free and you're doing OA, you're going to be saving your prep fees. And for me, it came to the point where my average order was about $30 for cost of goods. I was actually raising my margins. And because I was saving the sales tax, which is somewhere between $2 and $3 an item I ordered, and I would have been charged somewhere around $1.25 at that with prep. So my margins went up almost $2 in profit just by switching, not including boxes, time, labor. So there's tons of reasons why. And I used to not be a proponent of a prep center. I used to think it was like, until I switched over, I always thought it would kill your margins. But I did a 180.
Yeah.
Definitely on that thought.
Okay. Yeah, I totally agree with you. In my experience with my Amazon business since 2015, we decided to not have a prep center because we did so much retail arbitrage and there were no prep centers in the St. Louis area. So we had to build a warehouse, we had to scale, we had to do all of these things that, you've heard me cover, whether it was through the course or through the channel or any of this kind of stuff. But I actually am a big supporter of prep centers for anybody that's trying to do online arbitrage, or if there's retail arbitrage opportunities for drop-offs in your area. Not many prep centers like that. I honestly don't know if yours does like that or not. But if you can find a prep center that will take those items, it's way better, because then from my viewpoint, maybe let's say it even cut into your margins by 5%, which in your experience, it doesn't. But if it was 5% cut into your margins, well, you then have way more time to more than make up for the lost amount of percentage and profit, because you can then make up in dollar profit what was being lost, by the prep center in percentage. So I think that even if you look at it from a cost perspective, you can more than make up for the time with that. And I saw you nodding your head. Do you accept retail arbitrage drop-offs in Oregon, or
We
no?
do locally. Yeah. We have
Okay.
a bin outside of our bay that people can drop off, as long as we would tell people they have to be properly labeled so we know who they are.
Yeah, that's smart. Really
That's
smart.
that's the only thing there. And yeah, and one of the hardest things that when I talk to people when they talk about switching to a prep center is, I think a lot of it is about like control,
Mm,
like the idea of what's going to happen to my items. Like these, I'm spending a lot of money. Anyone who's doing Amazon, you could be spending anywhere from $2, $3, $4, $5,000 sending a prep center your money,
mhm.
and they have to be someone that obviously cares and is responsible for those items. Like you have to trust them.
Yeah.
I get on the phone with every people, and I feel like that, and to me, that was probably one of my biggest things. I was up late at night doing that. So I feel like one of those reasons when you're mentioning where we're talking about why people may be on the cusp of joining or even wanting to join would be just that little bit of a fear,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, exactly. And I know that, that fear is something that keeps people from doing a lot of different things, but making sure that you're asking the right questions to prep centers, such as, what kind of systems do you use? How do you separate people's products? What happens if there's a return? These types of questions. If you can make a list of 5 or 10 pressing questions that are bothering you as a seller before you start with a prep center, and you ask them to 5 or 10 other prep centers you're interested in, take the ones that you get the best answers from, take the ones that are the most responsive, and use that in your decision making. Don't just go blindly trust the prep center. I encourage everyone here, if you want to check out Kyle's prep center, it's at provenprepcenter.com. You can go there and ask them questions and see
Absolutely.
how responsive that they are. I know Kyle, I trust him, and I trust his team, so I know that they will be. But ultimately, you want to be asking these questions to the prep center. So Kyle, what are some of the common questions that you get as you're running a prep center from people that are interested in using your services?
That's a great question. So what I normally get is, how do we communicate? Because one of the biggest issues people have, like especially coming from other prep centers, because we get a lot of people that are like, man, they had bad experiences. And you could tell, like when I get on the phone with them, they're like really resistant, or they're more like really shy. And I really have to dig in and be like, hey, so tell me, the first thing I always ask people when I get them on the phone, just and when I find out that they have a lot of pain points, is what is your ideal prep center? And they tell me, like, if you did this and if you did that and you did this, and I'm like, okay, those are important to you. Here's how we do it. And normally what comes up is communication.
Okay.
So we allow ourselves, like I have a full-time person on staff during the day that answers questions and it will help me field calls. We use Slack to send pictures for people who have like damaged items or have any discrepancies in their items. But we also make ourselves available through text messages. You can call us. We try to like put it out there that like we're super, like you said, super available during working hours
Okay.
at all times. That's one of the biggest ones that I get from people is, how do you communicate with us? How do I know
Mm,
if there's an issue or
awesome.
if you receive my item?
All right. Now, what would be the expectation of, is it 24 hours? The standard that you set in the business? Is it quicker than that, longer than that? What's the standard for communication and responses?
Well, knowing me, as long as I didn't make a mistake, and granted, I am human, I may miss something, and I do apologize if I ever do, but I would say I typically I'm going to say 24 hours just to be safe, but it's usually about 3 hours
Yeah.
at most.
Yeah. You've always been very quick at responding to me through Messenger and stuff like that. So I really appreciate that. One thing too that I want to point out is you said that you have a Slack channel for your customers. And so I think that's really cool, because it's very easy to go back and forth with that kind of stuff. And you mentioned to me a little bit before this call that you sometimes will have interviews with other sellers and stuff for your prep center clients. Is that what you do through Slack? Is that how that works?
We have someone that's on pace to do about $2 million this year in
Mhm.
OA.
Okay.
And she's been very gracious to me. And I have a lot of friends that I've met through the community, through our communities and things like that. So yeah, I have a lot of people that just want to help other people. So we ended up scheduling a webinar, and we're actually trying to do something more like this more often, where someone will get on, answer a lot of questions. The last one was about OA. and cancellations. But it moved into so much more, and we post it right in our Slack channel, so you can always watch it. And you know, it's a great mentality, because you can see, okay, if I'm at this level, this person's at this level, I can see what their wins are, and they throw it right on the table for you. They're like, this is exactly what I do, step by step. You may not be in the same position, and you know, she wasn't at that time too. Like, she has the ability now to take, she just told me she took an Amazon loan for $226,000, right? You know, yours might just say 10.
Yeah.
But hers did that at one point too. And you're right. Like, I want to make it more of a community-based thing, because, you know, you and me are very similar, where we just want to help people. We want people to succeed. So, and when people bring their pain points to me, I try to help. And that was one of the issues a lot of the newer people who joined our prep center were having, is they switching to OA and understanding cancellations and getting around that.
Yeah. So what do you do? Have you had any issues, actually? I know this is a question I see all the time. Have you had any issues of OA orders getting canceled due to your prep center's address or anything? What do you do in those scenarios if somebody gets flagged for that?
So, you know, and it's something that on this video, if anyone ever signs up, or if anyone signs up, or if you go back and look, Leah made a great point, and I didn't even know this, is that a lot of the times it's not the prep center, it's the account. And the only ones that I found that typically really blacklist does, as people say, is commercial addresses. Like, for example, Ulta Beauty, if you have a commercial address and it gets to their shipping department and they see it's commercial from the USPS, they'll just cancel it. It doesn't matter. They'll just automatically cancel it. But then this person also gave us golden nuggets, is like, well, you can actually, if you didn't know this, you could go to this website and you could still order Ulta Beauty, and it'll go right to the prep center. And like, you know, like, there's some really good nuggets. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. You didn't have to tell people all this stuff.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Is that something that, if you do more of those interviews, that it would be strictly for customers, or would you ever put it on like a YouTube channel or a podcast or something that would be more consistent?
I like to keep it for people who need it.
Okay.
And I knew that the prep center clients needed it. If there's other people that need it down the road, or think they'd benefit from it, sure. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to putting it elsewhere, but I like to keep it like intimate, like a smaller class. It was like 30-40 people that showed up, and was able to just pick her brain, and which was cool.
Awesome. Yeah, Leah is amazing. I've got a video with Leah and Jessica, so Leah Model and Jessica Decker, on this channel, actually, for the course they did on OA Simplified. So they're both amazing, and tons of great insight and wisdom from the both of them every time I talk to them. But yeah, now I do have a question back with the prep center stuff. What are some of the systems that you have in place to make sure that people's products don't get lost or mixed in with other people's stuff? How do you handle that at your prep center?
Question. So we have a loading dock. Our stuff comes right in. From the loading dock, we have someone who sorts the stuff like as soon as it comes in, because now we're getting pallets a day. Like, UPS will drop off 4 pallets, USPS will drop off 4 pallets. So we have all these pallets. So we have everything up on pallet racking, and it's alphabetized. So as she goes through, she'll be like, okay, this is in this section, this is in this section. And then she'll go down through and just start putting the boxes into other people's bins. We have these things called Gaylords. There's these huge cardboard bins, and we put your name right on it. And we just separate and put your stuff in there. So it builds up as your ship date comes, because we like to assign everyone a shipping day so they can be prepared. So it'll be the same time. And if you're a really large seller, typically we get you out 2 or even 3 times a week. But what we'll do is we'll pull this thing, it's on a pallet, bring it right to the prep table, and then load it, start checking it in, opening it up right then and there. So we don't like open the box. I feel like opening the boxes, like there's some prep centers that'll open it and then put it away. I feel like loose items, you can't tell who they are. If you lose it, it's stuck. If we keep it in the box until it's time to actually open it and actually send it out that time, I feel that it helps us without mixing up anyone's stuff. And we really haven't had any issues with that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know there's so many different issues that can come up with prep centers, and that is one of them that I've heard before, that people's stuff gets lost or gets mixed in or whatever. So that's really cool. I've never heard of a prep center, and I've never asked other prep centers specifically this. I've never heard of ones keeping the stuff in the box. It is typically taken out and put away. And that would make sense. If you were to lose it or get it misplaced, you wouldn't know who it belonged to. So I love that idea. One thing too with prep centers that a lot of people get concerned with are some of the pricing issues, because one prep center might be a flat fee pricing. One prep center might charge you for every nickel and dime little thing, and they're measuring every single little thing that they put into the boxes. How is yours currently structured, and why did you do it that way?
Ours is flat, like, and I wanted to make it super, super simple because I remember as a seller what I was looking for. And it was so tough to be able to understand what these mean. Like, I didn't understand what the word carton was at first. I'm like, what does it mean by carton? What does it mean by this? What does it mean? Like,
Yeah.
why am I paying all these fees? We make ours a flat fee unless you have any special requests. Like the special request type things is like, hey, do you want it to be put into a box? Do you want it to be this? And it's very competitive because we have a lot of machinery that helps us fast track this. Like my partners that I mentioned earlier, we have 3 shrink wrap machines with heat tunnels that we run them through, and those machines cost $20,000 to $30,000 a piece that we've invested in. And a lot of prep centers, no offense, don't have that ability, and we take advantage of it to make to where we could save money. We put it elsewhere for people. One of the things that about us, and one of the differences in prices you'll find when you look, is it'll also depend on what you want. Like there's some people that are prepping out of their house, which is fine, but they're able to give you a lower price. But if you want something that's more, like we said, machines, professional, all of your stuff's going to look good, which it still can the other way around. But you can see those discrepancies in pricing, because now we're getting into labor costs, and we're getting into insurances and more overhead. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of those little fees that I feel a lot of people don't really think about. And I've seen it since 2015. There seems to be a typical trajectory of a seller that succeeds on Amazon, is that they'll start succeeding, and then they'll, maybe try to add in other income streams. And eventually at some point they get to the idea of opening their own prep center. And so what I've seen is a lot of prep centers open and a lot of prep centers close. And I actually was one of those people. I tried a prep center, had a couple clients, and realized it took away from my core, the core things we were doing. So we stopped doing that. So what are, I guess, in looking at your prep center, how is it that you're going to be able to manage some of the growth and the opportunities that are coming your way? Because I think that at a certain point, it can start to become a lot of work that people don't expect. And it seems like from a pricing standpoint, you've taken a lot of those things into account that many people don't, which is great. You're trying to create those extra efficiencies. But what are you doing to ensure that the prep center is a long-standing business?
Well, I'm blessed to where I have 3 partners, and all of us each contribute differently but equally.
Okay.
And like Jared, for example, contributes to the processes. Like he thinks of things that I would never. Pallet racking. We have these little this little Big Joe essentially that goes up, so like we can go to the top layer of a pallet rack, so we can go deeper. And we just go all the way up with like people's stuff. We can put it in their bins and come down. And
Yeah, that's cool.
so we have all that already. We have
Uh-huh.
forklifts.
Okay.
The infrastructure was already there.
Mhm.
And my job was to come in, and I built so many relationships, was to grow it and build the processes of actual, like the communication, the computer stuff.
Awesome.
And we already had employees at that point, people that work. So we were able to grow rather quickly because people already knew how to do Amazon, and they were doing it for their business as well. Right. So we were able to do that and train, and, it's gone great. Like we started off about 4 or 5 months ago now. And we started our first month, we did like 8,000 units. Then we went to like 18,000. Then we went to like 20 something thousand, then 30 something thousand. And then this month, our trajectory, because we have some wholesale clients now, we're probably gonna do over 60,000 units.
Wow.
Which is insane. So there is going to be a cap eventually. We
Mhm.
got to make sure we have room for Q4 and stuff, but we're not there. We could probably take like another 15, 20 clients before we started really looking at it and being like, okay, let's see how we do with everything with Q4 coming up. And
Awesome.
so
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, it was something that I don't talk about it too much, but I kind of call it a prep center phase that a lot of sellers go through if they have prepped their own products, of wanting to open it themselves. But there's so many logistical things that go into it. It's not as simple as a lot of people make it out to be or think that it would be. And so I love that you've already got a lot of those efficiencies worked out, and you've got the team behind you and everything to be able to do this. So
you have to think speed. Like
yeah.
You know, when we're looking at it, we're like, we're hitting 45 units an hour per prepper, which is great. But we also have machines in place and stuff to help. I bet you the average prep center hits around 30 units an hour, which is fine. But that's where, like, you have to figure out your processes. Like you said, you have to put it down on paper, figure out where you can cut, because, you know, time is essentially the money for you to be able to grow your business.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's awesome. I know that I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned at the start of the video, provenprepcenter.com is where people should go if they're interested in looking at your prep center. And we've talked about a lot of things, the advantages of a tax-free state. We've talked about the pricing models. We've talked about systems. One other question that I see all the time is, what do you do, and what do you recommend other prep centers should be doing? And whenever it comes to cancellations or returns or damaged items that come through, how do you handle some of those processes?
So it goes back to communication, where we're on Slack and we'll take pictures when it comes to damaged items, I guess. Let me answer that portion, because the damaged items, we can take pictures of it, we take angles of it, and sometimes we communicate with the customer back and forth because they'll want more stuff, like the store will want more stuff, and we send it to the client. We have to be their eyes and ears. So what we'll do is we'll just wait for the return label. The return label comes, we'll send it out, return instructions, we'll prep it and send it out to the manufacturer, whichever. Currently, we don't do Amazon returns at the moment, just because we're dialing in this. We're growing so much on the FBA handling side that the return side hasn't been a huge demand, or hasn't been a huge want from us, that we're filling up our available space with that. Okay. We do have other prep centers that we know do that, and we recommend those services out if someone's looking for that. Like, for example, full-time RVers and people who are doing this that don't want to touch even the returns. So we do have that. But for cancellations, there's just so many different things, like using different, you can adjust our address a little bit to see if you can fool the system, change it from a unit number to a apartment number. You can maybe not even put that and have it delivered in our general area versus right into our doorstep. Like, there's so many different ways that you can handle order cancellation, but there's so many sources out there too. So I always tell people, don't worry if you spend 2 hours trying to order this one product, when you could have in those 2 hours went and ordered 30, 40 other products. You know, that there's that give and take too. Some websites, you just, for whatever reason, your account or what, you just can't order.
Right.
And some people can. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. Like, I don't know why. I can't 100% tell people, but
yeah. Well, I do highly recommend for any new seller that's trying to decide if they want to prep products themselves or to look at a prep center. Just keep in mind, prep centers like Kyle's have so many systems in place that as a new seller, you won't have in your home. They have the ability to, prep the products quickly. They've got people trained on it. They've got economies of scale for different, poly bags and boxes, et cetera, that you wouldn't have to get discounts in your own home. So if you can, and if you are interested in scaling your business from the prep center side, I would highly recommend using prep centers, and specifically check out Kyle's at provenprepcenter.com, because there's just so many advantages to using a prep center, in my opinion. Now, it's not everyone's cup of tea. So if you want to prep stuff yourself, that's the route that I went, and we built our business to over $100,000 a month with our own prep team and with the warehouse and everything. There's also the other advantage too of having your home be your home, because it can be easy to start ordering products into your house and prep them yourself, and then it takes over the house. So it's always nice to have that little area of solace, right? So that you can rest and relax at times at home. But anyway, that's my advice for a lot of new sellers. If you are interested in opening your own warehouse or trying to prep your own products, there's tons of advice on this channel, as well as in the Proven Amazon course, which you can check out at bit.ly/PACCOURSE. bit.ly/Pat course. Kyle, is there anything else that you would want people to know, whether they're new or experienced, in regards to prep centers or selling on Amazon, anything that you would like to leave people with?
I did want to let people know, because I actually made a portion of our website that has a checklist for you. So there's probably so much that we haven't covered, to be honest. List can go on and on. but I try to compile most of the key components of what people are looking for on our website. So if you go to our website and you click get a checklist, it'll be emailed over to you. Just take that list, whether you choose us or not, just take that list. It'll help guide you through what is the most important things I feel that you should ask a prep center based on experience and what we do.
Okay.
I try not to make it biased, but
yeah, that's perfect. Well, yeah, go ahead and check it out at provenprepcenter.com because there's so much valuable information in that list, as well as just on the website. You can learn a lot about prep centers just by, scouring around the website. It's actually really, I like the website quite a bit. I've got it up over here. But so yeah, go ahead and check that out with Kyle at provenprepcenter.com. And thank you, everybody. Please post your questions and comments below. We'll make sure to answer them. If there's anything that needs to be directed to Kyle, I will let him know. But other than that, hope you all have a great rest of your day, a blessed rest of your week. And Kyle, thank you so much for hopping on here with me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video on prep centers and specifically provenprepcenter.com with Kyle Curtis. I hope that all of the insights that you gained from this video help out your business tremendously. As a reminder, be sure to leave a comment and subscribe and hit that notification bell if you'd like to be entered into the contest to win a copy of my best-selling book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, from $0 to $100,000 per month using retail and online arbitrage. So just leave that comment below. Let me know your thoughts, your questions, your concerns in the comments, and I'll be happy to respond to as many of them as I possibly can. But I hope that this video helped you and blessed you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.